The police told me no one had lived in that apartment for 6 years, but every night at exactly 2:17 a.m., someone knocked from inside my bedroom wall. The first time it happened, I thought it was the building settling. Old concrete, bad plumbing. Cheap rent. Those explanations are comforting when you need them to be. I had just moved to the city for work, and the apartment was the only one I could afford alone. 1 bedroom, 3rd floor, apartment 3B. The landlord barely spoke when he handed me the keys. He didn't step inside, just unlocked the door, slid the keys into my palm, and said, "People don't usually stay long." I laughed, because that is what you do when something feels off, but you don't want to acknowledge it yet. The first night was quiet, too quiet. No traffic, no neighbors, no television sounds bleeding through the walls. When I lay down, the silence felt heavy, like it had weight. At 2:17 a.m., 3 slow knocks came from the wall beside my bed. Not loud, not violent, careful, like whoever or whatever was on the other side didn't want to wake the whole building. Just me. I sat up, holding my breath. The knocks stopped. I waited. Nothing else happened. By morning, I had convinced myself it was pipes. The second night, my body woke up before the sound. At 2:16 a.m., my eyes opened on their own. At 2:17, the knocking came again. Same wall, same rhythm. I whispered hello without thinking. The knocking stopped immediately. Then, after a pause, 2 knocks answered back. I didn't sleep after that. Things changed after I acknowledged it. That's when it stopped feeling random. The apartment began to feel used, like I was wearing someone else's clothes. Sometimes the air smelled stale, even with the windows open. Sometimes I heard movement in rooms I wasn't in. I checked the locks constantly. Everything was secure. The third night, the knocking came from the bathroom mirror. Steam fogged the glass even though the water wasn't running. A shape formed, traced slowly from the inside. My name, perfectly spelled. I stood there shaking until the fog disappeared, leaving the mirror spotless again. I confronted the landlord the next morning. He was repainting the hallway, rolling white paint over old stains that never seemed to go away completely. When I mentioned the knocking, he froze. He told me not to answer it again. When I asked what it was, he said he didn't ask questions about things that let him keep breathing. That was the moment I knew this wasn't just me. I started researching the building. Online records were strangely empty. No listings, no history. When I searched missing persons reports with the street name, I found them. Adults. All single. All moved in alone. All last seen at their residence. The photos were grainy, outdated, but the dates followed a pattern. Every disappearance happened within a year of moving in. One name caught my attention. It was scratched into the wall behind my bed, hidden under layers of paint. Deep, intentional, like a signature. I met my neighbor from 3A by accident the next morning. She was standing in the hallway with her keys in her hand, not unlocking her door. When she saw me, she looked relieved and terrified at the same time. She asked if I heard it too. I nodded. She told me it starts with the walls, then it learns your schedule. She said the apartment watches, learns, repeats. Her mirrors were all covered when she let me inside. She said she didn't let it see her anymore. She had lived there 11 months, longer than anyone else. I went to the police. I didn't tell them everything, just enough to sound sane. When I gave them my address, the officer frowned at his screen. He told me my apartment didn't exist. The building skipped from 3A to 3C, no 3B, never had one. The missing persons were listed as voluntarily relocated. No investigations, no crimes. As I left, the officer quietly told me not to acknowledge knocking where it shouldn't be. That night, I received a voicemail from an unknown number. The timestamp was 2:17 a.m. Static, breathing. Then my voice told me it was okay to come out now. I set up my phone to record that night. Audio, video. At 2:16, the air felt thick. At 2:17, the lights flickered. The knocking came from the closet. 3 knocks. The door creaked open. Footsteps crossed the room, not toward me, past me. My phone screen lit up. It was recording, but not my room. It showed the hallway. I was standing there, staring directly into the camera, smiling. The next morning, my neighbor from 3A was gone. Her apartment was empty, clean, like no one had ever lived there. The landlord was repainting her door. I tried to leave that day, packed a bag, walked out. When I reached the street, my phone rang. My own number. When I answered, I heard my apartment. The silence, the breathing. I turned around. I was standing in my bedroom, phone in hand. That's when I understood. The apartment doesn't kill you. It learns you, copies you, keeps you. And when it's done, someone new moves in, thinking they're alone. At 2:17 a.m., there's a knock on the wall again. This time, I knock back first, and somewhere, someone new wakes up in a quiet apartment, wondering why the silence feels so crowded.